Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Growing Kentucky's Leaders. I'm one of your hosts, Sheldon McKinney.
And I'm your other host, Ruth Ann Fink. And today we have with us Jonathan Noe. He is the president and CEO of Central Kentucky Ag Credit, has a long history of working as a financial leader. We're really excited to hear from his experiences today. Jonathan loves Kentucky agriculture and serving farmers and rural residents. He and his wife Carrie are raising their 3 boys in Lancaster, Kentucky, and Jonathan has so many great memories from his time in FFA as a former Kentucky FFA member. We're just so glad to have him on the podcast this week. So, Jonathan, welcome to Growing Kentucky's Leaders.
It's great to be here. I really appreciate you all having me on, and so I'm excited to tell you a little bit about my experience with FFA and agriculture.
Well, we're excited to hear about it too. I think first, why don't you share with our listeners, beyond what we've already shared in your bio, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you love doing.
Okay. Well, as you all mentioned, currently I'm the president and CEO here at Central Kentucky Ag Credit. I've been with Ag Credit for 22 years. A little background. I grew up in a very small ag community in Paint Lick, Kentucky. It's on the southern end of Garrett County. Just in a farming family. My dad's farmed full time his whole life. My granddad, his dad, my great granddad. So we're several generations of farmers. I enjoyed growing up on the farm. It was a great experience. Looking back, it was a simple life, a really simple life, and we had beef cattle and tobacco, and it was just it was a wonderful way to be raised. Sometimes I hate that I haven't been able to bring my kids up on the farm quite like I was, but it was just a great experience. My mom was a school teacher. So it was a really simple life. I learned to love agriculture. As I got older, I joke, I said, we didn't have summer breaks. We just went to work during the summer, but we learned a lot about responsibility and hard work. And as I got older, my dad and uncle farmed together, and they had a pretty good sized beef cattle operation, and they turned the tobacco crop over to me and my cousin and my brother some too. And so that was kind of what I did to pay my way through school, and that was my job. And it was, like I said, it was a great learning experience, and kind of where I developed a love for ag. I even kind of started hinting to my dad a little bit that I might want to farm, and I think at the time the cattle market was pretty tough. And he's like, "Why don't you just go to school and we'll talk about it later?" And so I went on to EKU and got an ag degree there and a business in my business degree and minor in business. I'm sorry, and and that kind of put me on the path to ag credit. I figured out I loved ag business, and kind of a natural place to go was an ag lender. And I put in an application with Central Kentucky Ag Credit, and a few months after graduation, got hired on. And I just, I've loved every minute here. I spent some time in their Richmond office, a couple of years there, getting trained up as a loan officer before being transferred to our Stanford office. Spent about 5 years there, became the branch manager, and then in 2008, an opportunity to take the chief lending officer role opened up. I honestly didn't think I would get that. But I put an application in. Wanted my bosses to know I'm ambitious. And as I started going through the process, I realized these jobs don't come open very often at Ag Credit. We're pretty small and not a lot of turnover at the top. So, I really, started thinking I really, really want this position. And fortunately, I got it and came to Lexington back in 2008 as chief lending officer, and then the CEO at the time, Jim Caldwell, hired me. And then when he retired in 2022, I took over as president and CEO. So it's that's kind of my path along the way to this point.
Well, a testament to you being great in this role. 22 years with the same company is also a testament to Central Kentucky Ag Credit. So maybe our students, maybe they're familiar with what you all do, but maybe not. Can you tell them about what Central Kentucky Ag Credit is and maybe some of your key pillars or values that make you all a great company to work for and do business with?
Absolutely. I tell people Ag Credit is a perfect fit for me. I love relationships, and we are a relationship lender. Of course, we make loans for agriculture, whether it's to purchase ag real estate, finance operations, purchase equipment, livestock, put out crops, you name it, anything involving agriculture and farming, we can finance that. But we also do rural home loans. So even if you're not involved in farming, if you live out kind of in the rural areas or outside city limits, we can finance purchase or construction of your home. So, we're really all about agriculture and rural communities and relationships. And being somebody who values relationships, I really appreciate the way we do business. So, yeah, I figured out quickly it was a fit for me. We're a relatively small company right now. We've got 55 full-time employees. So it's like a family in a lot of ways. We cover 17 counties in Central Kentucky, so we really get to hone in on those counties and get really familiar with the territory and embedded in the communities in our territory. And so we promote, agriculture, not just from a lender's viewpoint, but agriculture in general. And I tell people we have a charter, given to us by Congress, and these 17 counties are what we're given to serve. That's not going to change or expand. So we have to make the most of these 17 counties, and you can't just do it by financing ag. You got to be involved in agriculture in our 17 counties, which means investing in ag, making sure that people that want to be in ag have an opportunity to be in ag. That so we do a lot of things that go beyond just lending. Like just for instance, last night we have a program called Annie's Project, and it's for promoting women in ag. And we have this is the third class that we put on, and the last class was last night, and I got a chance to speak with the group. But it's about helping them. Most of the folks in that class are trying to get started in ag. And so we're trying to help them get started because that's our future. And much like what you all do at FFA, that's the foundation. Those young people are the foundation for agriculture across the country and in our 17 counties. And so it's so important that not only are we, providing financing for ag and ag production and rural residents and communities, but also making sure that we're doing our part to keep agriculture around here in Central Kentucky for the benefit of all.
Well, and I'm so glad you said that, because I did want to shout out, like, Central Kentucky Ag Credit is a sponsor of the Kentucky FFA Foundation. And one of the really cool projects that you all have invested in are funding what we call SAE grants, so the Supervised Agriculture Experience grants, and giving students, just like you said, you all really are living out your motto and your mission of we want to invest in the people in our community and give them exposure to agriculture. And so those $500 grants, you have no clue how impactful those are to a student that's really trying to start their business or their research or whatever it might be. And you all have committed to doing that in your 17 county reach. And it's just been really great to see those applications come in. And hopefully you all have gotten lots of thank you letters. But I just wanted to shout that out because that is a true testament of you all are living and doing in your communities exactly what you say is your goal. So we thank you for that. And it's been a great partnership.
Well, we have gotten a lot of those cards, and it's very exciting to see that. It's great to see, and I talked about it in my own childhood, growing up on a farm, and being involved in ag gives you a chance as a young person to learn responsibility. And for the young people that we've been able to sponsor, I know we're putting them on a path. We're helping putting them on a path to success, because there's nothing like learning at an early age what it means to be responsible,
Yep.
and learn just you can say, oh, they're simple and basic business practices, but there's nothing basic about it. When you
Mhm.
learn at that age, at an early age, and get a jump start on what it takes to be able to go out into the world and be successful, it's invaluable.
Yeah.
And so to be able to be a part of that, and I know I've joked with you all before about it, but that was not a tough sell for us to want to get involved in a project like that, because we've seen the results of folks that have come through our own company here. I mean, I start thinking about the people we have on staff here, and there's hardly any that didn't go through FFA.
Mhm.
So we've all benefited from our time and experience with FFA, and it would be just wrong for us to not want to give back to that. And so it's been awesome to see the stories of these grants and these young people, getting a jump start, and I know it's going to benefit them for a long time to come.
That's so great. Let's segue that into what was your path? You're the CEO of Central Kentucky Ag Credit. You said most of your employees were FFA members. Tell us about your FFA experience, and maybe how did that prepare you to be the CEO of this company?
Sure. That FFA, that's this, what I'll talk about here is probably giving me the strongest, feelings towards FFA. And like most people, when you experience it yourself, it has a different kind of impact. And so, I grew up on a farm. I loved ag. I went I remember going to high school and being introduced to FFA,
Mhm.
and in ag classes. So of course I wanted to being in ag classes and being involved in that. And so I remember taking my first ag class, and at the time my teacher was Chuck Stallard. If any of y'all know Chuck Stallard, great guy. And I remember him asking if I wanted to join FFA, and I'm asking around. I had a brother that was already a member, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, this is a no brainer. And so I joined, and I can remember going to some of the first meetings. And as a freshman in high school, you're just kind of you're learning, and you're learning what it's all about, and going to the meetings. But by my sophomore year, um, we had a new advisor. Chuck had taken a principalship somewhere at another school, and I think maybe Mercer County or something. But either way, we got a new advisor, and he was really kind of calling on some of the younger uh, kids to get a little more involved, and he was really pushing some of us to, you know, compete at the regional days, and his name was Martin Hume, and he asked me to be an officer, and I remember agreeing to be an officer then, and but where I really uh, learned the ropes, I guess, and kind of got a little shock to my system. He asked me to be in a speaking contest, and so I thought, okay, I'll do it, and if he wants me to do it, I'm probably never. I at that point never stood up and said anything in front of anybody, and so I had zero speaking experience, and I was a pretty shy kid too. So we started working on it, and it was an impromptu speech, and he's telling me, hey, um, first it's you got to get 5 minutes. I think that was right, 5 minute speech. First 2 minutes we'll knock out with a good introduction. You memorize this introduction, you got your first 2 minutes. The rest will be.
This
And
sounds very
so
familiar, yeah.
you all probably got the same lesson there. So I learned the introduction. I had that nailed, and I remember going over here to UK and going off to the room, and I get a topic, and I'd been around the farm a lot, but it was a topic, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I knew nothing about to start with. So I'm thinking I've got to get in. You're always given some some books, you know,
Mhm.
to do some research, and I'm studying and I can't come up with anything. So I'm panicking and I'm watching the clock, thinking I'm running out of time here to get some material. And I finally just threw my hands up. I was like, I got nothing. And so I go in there and to give my speech. But that memorized introduction, I was nailing it. It was coming right off, I'm going for the first couple minutes there, and I'm thinking I'm doing pretty good with this, but I knew, it was about to run out. And I think even the judges, they're like, this kid's gonna do all right. And then I get through the introduction and then I'm done. I had no more material, and they're just sitting there looking at me and I'm silent, and and they're like, that's all you got, isn't it? And I said, that's it. And they're like, well, it's a good introduction anyway. But I got the first one out of the way, and by the next year, I remember going back, getting an easier topic, doing much better, but that I would have never gotten up and given a speech or even attempted to give a speech had it not been for FFA. And so it made me step out on a limb and do something that I wasn't really comfortable doing, but that's part of growing up and being successful, is stepping out of your comfort zone. And I got to do that I was a sophomore in high school that first time at a pretty early age there.
Right. I think
Yeah.
that's so valuable for our members to hear, because we do really honor students who win their speaking
Mhm.
contest and do that. But we have over 20-some thousand Kentucky FFA members, and we have about 15 that win a state speech contest a year. But we
Mhm.
have thousands of others who prep and practice and give a speech in front of local judges. And so they need to know just the act of doing that has
Yes.
so much value.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
It's and I would encourage you, any FFA member, don't, yes, do your best, but don't worry about the result. If you don't win, that's not the point. The fact that you were able to step out of your comfort zone and do something, that's growing you. That's growing
Yeah.
you right there. I tell a lot of people about our parliamentary procedure team. Um, there was a bunch of guys that were farm boys like me, again, that knew nothing about running a formal meeting or parliamentary procedure. But we had a blast with that, and so you took all these unlikely, you know, young people that would have never, done that. And we had a blast with parliamentary procedure. And to this day, I know how a meeting's supposed to be run because of
Mhm.
my experience with Parley. And so those those experiences, there's no doubt about it. As I went on to college and had to do presentations and at Ag Credit, of course, I have to get in front of crowds a lot these days. But it doesn't bother me, and I'm not some great outgoing person. That's not necessarily my personality, but because, I was willing to step out on a limb years ago, and
Mhm.
FFA was the reason. Um, it's it
Yeah.
it makes it easier. It's just a matter of getting that experience.
And there's no better place to test that out when you're in high school or a middle school FFA member and you're doing that for the first, like, there's no safer place in front of those judges. They're going to support you and give you great feedback. You've given
Absolutely.
lots of great advice to our FFA members listening today. I would love for you, Jonathan, to share, if we have FFA members listening to this episode, what advice would you give them in searching for a career in agriculture?
Mhm. Well, I would say, and I tell young people this all the time, my own kids included, um, you know, be willing to put yourself out there, whether it's going to college or to get, specialize in some area, whatever technical area, whatever it is that you have interest in, just give it a chance. Because I know with me, I really figured out that I love business and ag business in particular after I had gone to college, and I didn't quite know that yet. And but I think if you will give yourself a chance. You'll figure out what you enjoy, because that's so important, I think, is to find something that you enjoy that really fits you and your personality. Because, work, at Ag Credit, it doesn't feel like work to me, because I'm doing something that I enjoy, that I feel like I'm pretty good at. And so that would be my advice, to be willing to try different things until you find what's really your niche. But the main thing, and I saw something on this the other day too, is every time you do something difficult, or put yourself out there a little bit, it grows you. It makes you better, and it's kind of like a brain stimulation that you can't get any other way. And so be willing to try things, and I think Sheldon said it. FFA is a great place for that. It's a safe place to go put yourself out there, try things, but just don't sell yourself short ever. I can tell you right now, when I came to Central Kentucky Ag Credit, I had no idea I would be the CEO. That never crossed my mind. And and it wasn't even necessarily my goal. It just through hard work and being willing to just put myself out there. You never know. You never know what's going to happen, and so don't ever sell yourself short. Don't be scared to try new things.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, we have a loan office. You're not a loan officer, but you're a financial expert in agriculture. If we have young people who are listening, who are thinking like, I want to be involved in production agriculture, I want to open my own business, but I'm going to need financing. What are some tips you have for them being young right now to help prepare them maybe to get in the game?
Well, I would say take care of your money. Save money. It's when you're young and you don't have as many bills, and you don't have some of the financial responsibilities, sometimes it's harder to see that. But I would just say, really take care of your money and save it. Try to get a jump start, because it's just going to make it that much easier for you when you're really serious about starting your business, or beginning a livelihood. But I think it's, so often we train young people on a skill or a trade, but we don't train them on just good basic financial management. Because so often at Ag Credit, we see a lot of producers and folks in ag that they can produce and they can run a business, but managing finances is as important as all that. Because if you can't do that, it's hard to get your business off the ground. So really be serious about taking care of your money, saving money back. If you've got a dream or you've got a goal to have your own business, the sooner you start that, the better. And honestly, when you're young and you don't have some of those financial responsibilities, it's a chance to go ahead and save some money back. And anytime you got to get a chance to get some education or training on just basic financial management, take it, because it's really key. You're going to learn. I'm confident that most young people that are looking to get started, you're going to learn how to run your business, whether it's through, high school ag, college, whatever it may be. You'll learn the skills that it takes to run the business. But if you've got the financial management that goes with that, you're set up for success.
No, that's good. Jonathan, we always ask our podcast guests on here the same 3 questions to round out each episode. And the first one is, what is the best piece of leadership advice that you've ever received?
Oh gosh, probably the best leadership advice that I've been given is lead by example. Because people are watching you. If you're going to be in a position of leadership, people are watching you. And I think if you treat people the right way, treat people with respect, you work hard and you work with integrity, that goes a long way. If everybody has strengths and weaknesses, but if you act that way, people are willing to look past your weaknesses sometimes and give you the benefit of the doubt, because leaders need that too. They need to, and so I think it really matters that you treat people the right way and you lead by example, and it's a lot easier to get people to follow that.
That's great. Well, philanthropy is all about giving back, and that's what we do at the FFA Foundation. We're philanthropy, and we like to provide our guests the opportunity to shout out somebody who has been generous to you and to pour into your life. So who would you like to recognize today?
Oh gosh, if I was going to recognize somebody that's really poured into me, I would say, certainly my grandparents. I've got one granddad that's still with us. He's 95 years old. My grandparents poured a lot into me, and my granddad, Russell Barkley, just a great human being and taught me a lot. But my parents also, because they taught me how to work. They taught me responsibility, and it matters. It really matters. And I've, no matter which way I've gone in my life, I've had that foundation of values and work ethic to kind of always bring me back to the center. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's important to have. Our last question is kind of off the wall here, but it's, what is something that you're loving right now that's helping you grow? So this could be anything. It could be a tool, a book, a gadget, it could be anything.
Habit.
Yeah, a habit, anything that you're loving that's helping you grow.
It's it's not one thing, but I love to give back to the company, but my church and my community. And so I do some different things, and I won't get into great detail that are to help other people.
Mhm.
And it's giving back is the greatest thing in the world. It just, because, if you want to be happy, I've heard people say this before, and you're happier when you are doing for others than worried about yourself.
Mhm.
And that there's no greater blessing. So I would just say, whether it's your church, it's your community, it's some opportunity to give back, nothing in return, just give back, you'll be a happier human being. And those things have really, they're a blessing to my life. And so always do that. Give back to others. Don't worry about yourself so much, and you'll be a happier person.
Yeah, that is wonderful. It makes us more grateful and aware of the people around us when we're helping. And Central Kentucky Ag Credit's definitely done that for Kentucky FFA. Your all's gift is impacting so many students across the state and in your 17 county region. And so we're grateful for your all's support. And we thank you for your time today and giving back to us with this word of advice.
Well, that's you're very welcome. Anytime you guys need something, we'll do it. FFA has done it all for us here and across the state and the nation. It's a great thing for ag, and really appreciate you all.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. And you all, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Growing Kentucky's Leaders. Growing Kentucky's Leaders is a podcast brought to you by the Kentucky FFA Foundation. Our music is performed by Bourbon County FFA member Joe Fritch. Artwork is by Julie Fritch Creative. Your hosts are Sheldon McKinney and Ruth Ann Fink, and you can find us on all social platforms at Kentucky FFA.